Thank you again for sparing some time to talk to us this morning. I know Kate because she did a master's program a couple of years ago. And the only thing that I will say now is that now she's working as a European brand manager at Kellogg Company. And today she will be sharing some insights about what exactly she does in her role, how she got there. So hopefully you will find this useful, guys. So over to you, Kate. Yes.
Great, thanks, Rodrigo, and hi to everyone. I know it's kind of a bit weird doing everything virtually these days, but it's lovely to kind of reconnect with Henley Business School after all these years. So yeah, I am a brand manager in the Kellogg's Company. Going back basically to my education is probably easier to bring you on that journey. I first did an undergraduate in food innovation in Dublin in the DIT. And throughout that degree, I kind of figured out that science really wasn't my passion and I didn't want to be in a lab-based role. So with that, I enrolled into Henley Business School in 2016, graduated in 2017, and I was lucky to secure a job really with Kellogg's, where I was able to merge the two undergraduate degrees in terms of food science and brand management, and end up in an innovation role back in 2017.
So, I think, sorry to interrupt, I think it's a great fit, like what you said, like you have the food industry background and then marketing. I think Kellogg's was an ideal, and they saw a lot of potential from having both elements in you.
I would say it was pure fluke. I really wanted to get a job within the food industry, but I didn't really have the marketing background, work experience when I was applying for marketing roles. It was really pure chance that there was an innovation brand management role in Kellogg's, and there was a point where I was looking for jobs and I was kind of thinking, you know, I'm either going to have to give up on the food marketing and just do kind of tourism marketing or kind of any foot in the door that I could get, or I was thinking maybe I'm going to have to go back and do these science-based roles and then kind of have a foot in the door in a food company and then be able to merge out to kind of the more marketing business end of it. So yeah, I was very lucky to end up getting the role in Kellogg's. But I'm here 3 years this November, which is crazy because time is just flying. It's blinking before my eyes. But you know, it's a great place to work, and I've been really enjoying it. And I've been looking to have two roles so far. So I thought show the slides to kind of bring you guys on the journey of what I do day to day, really. So the first slide I have is kind of, you know, what do brand managers do? Because it's a question that I get asked a lot of times. And sometimes I find it hard to kind of quickly summarize exactly what it is that I do, because no 2 days are really the same. And it's a bit of a cliche to say that, but in my opinion, it is true. You know, the environment is really fast paced, and definitely working from home has increased this. But overall, being a brand manager, it means I get a look into so many different departments within Kellogg's, which I find really interesting. I do like to think of my role as kind of a guardian. So if you've seen the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of think about it a little bit like that. So as a European brand manager, you know, I'm in a position where I'm a gatekeeper for, you know, an incredible iconic brand like Kellogg's, and some brands are decades old, and they're still very much so loved by consumers. And it's our job to kind of really protect the purpose and the integrity, and then also the vision of the brand. Before I kind of go on, maybe I should just mention I'm currently now the European brand manager for WK Kellogg, which is a granola brand, and it's a new brand to the Kellogg's portfolio. It's only about 3 years old, but other brands like Crunchy Nut is 40 years old. I think Cocoa Pops is about 60. Cornflakes itself is like the founding product of Kellogg's, which is like 116 years or something like that, which is crazy to think that these brands have been in the world for so long. As a European brand manager, every day I'm talking to my colleagues across Europe, which is great. And also a huge amount of my role hasn't changed from working from home, because I was dialing into calls to kind of Nicole in Hamburg or Sylvia in Italy. So, it's all kind of similar working from home, but it's every day across Europe I get to kind of help make decisions that will impact how consumers are going to see the brand that I work on, be that kind of a new packaging design or a piece of digital communications, or even aligning to a local sponsorship that we're going to do. So as kind of a gatekeeper of the brand, we get to use things like our key brand tools, which is like our equity tool, as a lens to which to kind of help us look at any activity or comms to make sure that they align with our brand strategy. So I said earlier that the days can be varied, and it is true. For example, my main deliverable this week is a business performance review on an innovation that launched in January. And I'll bring our key stakeholders along on the journey and make sure that everyone understands how the performance of the brand is doing and what we can do to further enhance it. But then other weeks I can be more focused on things like communications. So recently enough, I just finished our communications brief for 21 and briefed our creative agencies, and they're coming back to us this week, which I'm really excited to see kind of what their thoughts are for 2021. And I think my favorite part of my role is this creative side. I much prefer it than crunching numbers and trying to understand how the performance of things is going. But you also do get that kind of really weird sense of pride when you see an ad that you worked on out in the wild, and it's such a lovely feeling because you know yourself how much work has gone into it. But as a consumer walks by it, they may not even notice it. But it's part and parcel of doing activations like this, which is cool. So this is kind of an example of what I've worked on this year. I don't know if you've seen any of the ads themselves, but we had a huge out of home strategy for the year, which obviously in COVID world has not materialized to be the best strategy, because it was the one year that people were going to be at home and not out of home. But it was great to be able to develop, really cool ads and to kind of reintroduce the brand that I work for and get it in the front of mind with consumers. And then I got to work on a TV ad for WK Kellogg by Kids, which is a fantastic brand that has been developed with kids at the core. They've helped us with the food development, with kind of what colors go in, what flavors go in, what the packaging design looks like, and even the ad itself, like the robot there on screen was drawn by the creative director's 7-year-old daughter. So kids have really helped us throughout that whole innovation, which is really cool. And then I said earlier that my first role was an assistant brand manager role, and I got to work on the launch of White Chocolate Cocoa Pops and Crave Dark Chocolate. And I'm really grateful, as I mentioned, to be able to merge both of my undergraduate and postgraduate degrees into one. And it gave me an insight into how Kellogg's kind of functions as a business. But by doing an innovation, it means that you really kind of collaborate with so many people, like from food development, from nutrition, supply chain, quality, finance. I could really go on. There are so many people involved in an innovation. And so when you see it, your kind of final product on shelf, there's probably about 60, 70 people minimum who have helped to get it there, which is, I'm the type of person that I think I get my best work when I'm working with a team, and that kind of sense of a kind of team morale as well. So innovation was a great kind of foot in the door to not only just learn about Kellogg's, but to kind of understand how things get done in businesses.
And I think you touched on a very interesting point, that you said that you were interacting not only kind of with when you were in this innovation role, not only kind of with marketing people, but people from like supply chain, and that they have to prepare like forecasting and all this kind of thing, and how they buy raw materials. I'm thinking, and then but also like you said, like people like nutritionists and other than that. So I don't know. I guess sometimes students, they feel like, okay, I'm going to be working in marketing only, and then we just hang out with these creative agencies. But it really depends on the industry and all the different stakeholders, and that's why I guess it's important to learn how to work in teams, right? And also to have like a kind of a broader view and not only focus, I want to do TV ads all the time, or I want to do that, because you will have to deal with these other people that have different mindsets and are kind of thinking of their own priorities. I don't know.
Exactly. No, you're totally right. And I guess what I find and what other brand managers find, we work in kind of a tunnel vision view of, okay, my brand is WK Kellogg and I need to do everything that's in my power to, help the performance of the brand or just get the most out of the brand. Whereas, my colleague in finance isn't working with a WK Kellogg tunnel vision view. They work with the portfolio in mind. So it's really it's really interesting to be able to work with such a collaborative kind of frame of mind, but also, you have to kind of work on negotiating kind of timelines. If I need something really urgently, and someone in finance is also working on something urgently, we have to kind of meet in the middle and find something that will kind of help us both achieve what we need to get done. But it's a huge part of my role is just really being a bridge from the brand team to any other department in the business, and then taking the information that I've gotten and kind of digesting it and probably breaking it down to kind of a shorter, condensed version, and bringing our stakeholders, like my brand director or the vice president for the marketing department, bring them on the journey with us too. So yeah, it's hugely collaborative.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I thought that was
That's cool. Other things that we can end up doing is kind of, again, collaborating with our insights team. So what they'll do is they'll kind of break down consumer research, and they'll also follow trends to basically ensure that our launches are set up for success. So we do a huge amount of testing in Kellogg's. Like, we'll test a concept before it kind of goes into the plant for development in terms of an innovation, and then during the innovation process we'll create the food, and we'll test it with consumers as well, and basically get their read on it. We'll also test like TV ads and kind of out of home posters, basically just to ensure that the ad is set up for success and it's achieving what the objective of the ad had in mind, basically.
Yeah, because it costs a lot of money.
Yes,
assuming, right? So you don't.
So you want to make sure that the investment that you're going to put behind is basically going to be a success, and it doesn't always work. And that's what the great thing about consumer research is. It means that you can kind of take a step back and go back and tweak it before you meet the kind of the media deadline, because once you get to that deadline, you have to put something out on air, and you want it to be the very best ad that you can create. So yeah, it's great to be in the position to be able to test a lot of our kind of ads and concepts with consumers. And I'm coming to the end now. So basically, that what we'll do is we'll turn all those insights, like from in-market data, consumer research, everything into a strategy, and it's what we call a brand growth plan. And it simply just shows the plan or the path that the brand is going to take in order to achieve success. So the prep for these plans actually being kicked off now, and we will debrief our stakeholders in December, pretty much before Christmas, so that everyone goes off on Christmas break and comes back and is kind of clear and aligned on kind of the brand strategy heading into the new year. And then I thought, and you mentioned, giving advice to the students in Henley at the moment, and it's a mad year for everything really. And I know the thought of kind of career prospects is a little bit daunting, but there's definitely roles out there. I would say try not to get too worried. And when I thought about this, Rodrigo, what I did was I thought back to when I was in Henley Business School, especially around this time, when there's a huge amount of kind of noise about graduate programs and stuff like that. And I kind of have three pieces of advice that I wish I kind of had heard basically when I was doing my master's. But number one, a graduate program is not the be all or end all. Like it's a great opportunity and it's a great foot in the door. But I spent a huge amount of time, in every application, in every kind of online test, and in the end, it didn't materialize for me, and it was fine for it to not materialize for me. There are entry level roles in most companies, so I would just say to the students, don't put too much pressure on yourself to secure grad programs. They're great, but they're really not the be all or
the only thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much out there beyond a grad program, and don't worry, you will find a role and you will find a job. So if you're kind of thinking or overthinking about the graduate program kind of recruitment process at the moment, just kind of take a step back, reflect, and just realize that there's a lot more out there as well. The other thing that I kind of in one way wish I kind of dug a little bit deeper was really researching the industry that I wanted to go into. Like I guess with my food science degree behind me, I knew I probably wanted to be into like the FMCG kind of industry. But at the same time, I was kind of blinkered and I didn't think of any other kind of industry either. The automobile creative side of that world is fascinating, and they have massive budgets as well. So start thinking about like the different areas that you could go into. Is it media agencies? Is it a creative agency in terms of like a key account manager? There's so many kind of routes where your marketing masters can bring you. So, just spend the time when you're actually secure in education to just really kind of deep dive and investigate a little bit. And then lastly, just don't be afraid to try a job. The job that you get when you graduate after university is not going to be the job that you kind of retire at 65 or whenever it is. If you don't try, you won't know. And I was lucky when I was doing my undergraduate degree to do kind of two very heavy food roles, so like in quality assurance and food development. And doing those roles, it was hell because I really didn't enjoy it. But it taught me a lot of where I didn't want to go. So, just don't be afraid to try the roles. And you may end up loving it, and that's great. But if you don't try, you'll never know. So I would just say don't be afraid to try out new jobs.
Great piece of advice. Thank you, Kate. I had a question while you were saying all this, and we'll finish soon, about this, that you have the food industry or food marketing background and the marketing one. Do you, and maybe some students, they are asking themselves, do I need to have like this food background to be able to work in the marketing team in Kellogg's? Like, do all the people or everyone has this kind of very special mix? Or
I'd say it is beneficial, but it's not a requirement. So, there's people who've come from like all walks of life really in the brand management role in Kellogg's. I think of one of the brand managers, and he was a teacher in South Korea up until about like 5 or 6 years ago. And he went off and he did a business master's in marketing, and now he's a marketing manager for Crunchy Nut, which is one of the biggest brands in the UK. I think it is the biggest brand in the UK. So, there's benefit, of course, of having kind of previous work experience, but it's 100% not the be all or end all to have it. They're looking for people who can add value into the marketing department. And if you can bring experience from a different sector or a different industry, they may take that ahead of someone else who has kind of FMCG experience as well.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you again, Kate. We'll stop recording now. Let me see.